my audio is working. So let me know if you can hear me or not. I think it should be working. Everything looks like it's connected up. So thanks for hanging out on what is it, a Thursday? A Thursday evening, right? So I want to thank you all. Let me know what you're up to in the comments. Let me turn on the live chat here. There we go. So again, let me know what you have going on. It's a gorgeous day here in the upper Midwest, ending a really nice day actually. Probably not so nice if you're in Colorado. So if you're there, that is not great for you. It's a rough day. Listening to some DMR, that's awesome. Chris, what's going on? Tim, Rick, what's going on? Plasma Storm, that's a cool name. You got the call sign and the Plasma Storm. That's awesome. So what I wanted to talk about tonight, you see it from the title, and thanks if you were scheduled for the reminder. I want to talk about the Huntsville Hamfest, which is kicking off this weekend. This is going to be a rant video, to be honest, but it's something that really gets to me, and I just want to be clear right off the jump here with you guys. As much as this has become political the last year and a half, that's not really what this live stream is about, because it's really not political at all. It's just the facts of the situation that are happening. And so, you know, I was thinking about going to the Huntsville Hamfest, and I was considering checking it out, but given what's happening with Delta right now, I decided to not go. And I decided, you know, and I'll tell you, in July, it looked pretty damn good. You know, it looked like everything was trending in the right direction, and I was like, sweet, this is going to be awesome, because we're finally able to then go back to an in-person Hamfest. I haven't been to an in-person Hamfest in, I can't even remember. I have been to ham events, like recently, just last weekend, I was doing a Hams in the Park, which, by the way, there's a video coming up about that. So watch for that video. Just a quick plug there, because it's going to be an awesome vid. But I was going to go, but I canceled. And this is what I can't understand. I was not surprised to see that some vendors canceled going to the Huntsville Hamfest in Alabama this weekend. DX Engineering canceled, Yaesu canceled, and they're not sending their people to go. And it makes perfect sense. I understand why. Like, why would you put your folks in that situation if you don't absolutely have to do that? Which is absolutely the case with the Huntsville Hamfest. I'm sure it's great. I've never been there. I'm sure it's a fine Hamfest and a lot of fun, but I still could not for the life of me understand how it's still going on. I get that right now, you know, you can do an event, you can do whatever it is you want to do. Most locales have not re-implemented any kind of restriction on events and gatherings, but given the current situation right now in Alabama, it breaks my mind that it's actually happening. And I'm curious to your guys' thoughts. What's up, Dan? I just can't get what they're thinking, and that's the whole title of the video. And let's just run through this. And again, I want this to be interactive. I'm trying to make sure I get my chat up on the screen and it stays there. So, and I think it will. So please leave your comments and your thoughts. Here's my issue. The surge right now is absolutely incredibly a serious situation in the southern part of the United States. No question about it. When you look at the modeling and the statistics of it, this weekend there will be people, it's almost an assured 100%, but nothing is 100% when you're looking at it from a scientific perspective, that there will be people who are COVID-19 positive walking around. It's just the nature of what it is. So again, going into it without, I said, any kind of real guardrails to the event, again, you take that risk if you go there, right? Like, that's your risk to take. The problem is that when you take a look at what's happening on the ground right now in Alabama, they don't have any ICU beds available right now. They are minus intensive care unit beds in the state of Alabama right now. What this means is not only do people who contract COVID really have nowhere to go, and it's not like they're going to kick you out of the hospital and not let you in. It's just you're not going to be able to go to an actual intensive care unit for your care. And we'll talk about why that's important in a second. But if you have a heart attack, if you're in a car accident driving to the Huntsville Hamfest, all of these scenarios in which you would end up in the ICU, They don't have any beds right now. They're literally minus, the last I saw was minus 24 beds. There's not a single bed in the entire state of Alabama. They're overflowing with people. So what are they doing? Right now they're asking the federal government for help. They are asking for FEMA and the National Guard to come in and help. They don't have enough people to take care of everyone right now that's sick. And this is not just COVID, but COVID is driving it up and over the 100% mark. So with this happening, and let me tell you where I'm coming at this from and why I'm making this video. Because I want to be clear. If you're asking, why do I care so much? First and foremost, I spent years of my career working in Colorado at an academic medical campus. I don't have a medical background anymore. I was a paramedic for a few years a long time ago. Not anymore. I don't am in any way a healthcare provider. My wife's a healthcare provider, though. She is an advanced practice provider. And so she's very familiar with what's going on and what everyone's experiencing. She just had a friend of hers visit who's also a nurse. And she was talking about the things that they're seeing out in Colorado with their hospital and the amount of people that are coming in that can't breathe. Oxygen saturations are crazy low and they're pumping them full of O2. They have heart issues, but they were also at one point COVID-19 positive, or they were currently in the hospital for that and then had a cardiac issue on top of it. And she was like, it's just incredible what they're seeing. So again, they're literally at the breaking point right now in Alabama. By gathering at the Huntsville Hamfest, and this is purely my opinion, again, it's my opinion, I have to state that just to make it clear, but at the same time, it's just a fact that it's going to further make this worse. It is going to further stretch the hospitals. And I was telling you, we're going to talk about why this is important. This is why that's important. We know from numerous studies that when hospital capacities for ICUs fill up, that means that outcomes for the COVID-19 patients are worse. There is more death because they are overflowing with patients in those hospitals. And we see mortality increase as well for other types of conditions that people are in the ICU for. So again, it just makes sense logically, right? When things are overflowing and they're stretched to the thinnest of capacities, outcomes are worse, meaning you might die. So again, we're talking about life and death. We're not talking about Yezu or ICOM or a dipole versus a Yagi. We're talking about living or dying. And you may say, well, again, like you can go, it's your choice to go, and it's your health that would be impacted. The problem is, just like anything else that's a viral infection, I'm actually recovering right now from one that I got from my son because RSV, which is something that kids usually get, is passing around so much right now. I am infected with it after he had it. It doesn't just go to you. It gets spread around because I said you actually may be spreading it, whether you're even vaccinated. Some people in some cases who are even vaccinated are still spreading it in rare cases. And certainly unvaccinated, you are said are potentially spreading it to more people who, again, just that additional spread could, again, land somebody else up in the hospital. Chris. Nurse, that's awesome. I said my wife is as well. She's a nurse practitioner. I can't understand outside of what the statement said from Huntsville Hamfest. They said they were contractually obligated, right? And I just want to be clear that this is my opinion. I'm making assumptions here because I didn't read the contract. I don't know what the agreement states. I'm just going off of my experience in marketing. Is going into this year, we were all very hopeful that we were going to get back to normal. And in a lot of ways we have, at least for a short time. And we're kind of going backwards now, unfortunately. How do you not approach the agreement in your the superior clause to say, we want an out from damages, attrition, like we want to have an out financially or take out insurance against it? Because that's just the time that we're in right now with COVID. Like it's not gone, it's not done. Like this entire year for me, and maybe it's because of my wife, I don't know. Like the entire time I'm like, please just let people get vaccinated so we can get this over with. Because it was a race between vaccination and the Delta variant. That was very obvious months ago that that was what it is. So I'm just praying that people were like going to get vaccinated on time and just do it so we can get this over with and be done with it and hopefully have a much better pace toward a good outcome. But that hasn't happened. We lost that race. That's just the reality of it. And so while this is all going on, as I'm seeing this unfold, and I'm thinking if I'm an event planner, because you had to plan something like Huntsville Hamfest out months and months in advance. Like this is probably something from last year they were probably thinking about. Again, in this environment, how do you not put in contractually a way for you to at least either get completely out if you have to cancel, or at least minimize your risk? That I don't understand. I just don't get it. And let's just disregard the money aspect of it for a moment, even though that's not reality, and ask ourselves, okay, so we're talking about money if we have to cancel, and you're going to have to pay the vendor, right? Absolutely. They're all high risk. The majority of people attending are going to be high risk. There's no question about that. I agree. Which is, again, the further mind-boggling point of this. So if you don't have an out, and then you're saying, okay, let's look at what's going on. We don't have any intensive care unit hospital beds in our area, and we're inviting thousands of people to come from all over. Again, yes, you may lose some money. I don't know how much we're talking about. It could be substantial if you didn't do the agreement correctly, in my opinion. Why don't you just cancel? Is 20, 30, 40, 50K, and again, I'm assuming they would have insurance, but I don't know that. Whatever the amount is that you'd be in for it, absolutely. I mean, you have to go and make people whole. Like when you go into agreements, there are ways you structure the deal, right? Where vendors want to have that, be able to count on that income. They want to be able to know that they're going to have that money and plan on it. Absolutely. But why would you not just cancel and say, you know what? We're going to find a way to pay you a percentage, whatever the agreement states, and we're just going to cancel. Because it's not worth it. Having this Hamfest is not worth it, period. It's just not. Like, going to a Hamfest, and the thing that also drives me nuts, I don't even know if it's still going on. If you're going, let me know if this is still happening. I saw a post that said that a lot of ham clubs were unable to meet because they didn't have a place where they could gather during the pandemic. So they're like hosting places where you can rent out like an hour at a time to meet with various people in your club or something like that. Yeah, Yaesu, MFJ, they're all out. DX Engineering, they're out. All smart, logical, makes sense choices. I said I greatly respect every company that pulled out. And I definitely have some more ill will feelings toward those that didn't pull out. Because it's just not worth it. People are literally dying throughout the state of Alabama right now. And going to get a hot dog and a Baofeng isn't worth it. It just isn't. We're all excited to get back to do Hamfest again. I was really jacked and excited and hopeful that maybe I'd be going to Ohio earlier this year. It didn't happen. I was bummed, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to go next year. I was hopeful to go to potentially this one. That was an option on the calendar. But I have to be realistic about what's in front of me. I mean, it's absolutely the case. Yeah, I'm tired of being home. I want to get out. I mean, I'm trying to get out and do more things. But again, going to a large gathering, knowing what's happening in Alabama right now, it just absolutely defies any amount of logic and any amount of, again, just, for me, it's a human decency thing. Like, these hospital workers are so stressed and over the top by, again, doing something that we know will directly attribute to more stress, more strain. I just don't understand where you are in that mindset. Like, again, if it's me, I don't know if I could sleep at night doing that. And I know that everybody that comes, it's up to them to come. But again, I also don't agree with, they haven't been very forceful on things that are obvious that could help make it somewhat better. But it's personal accountability, but you can't control everything. You can't go there and be like, if I do all the things right, I'll be fine. Because you could still get infected even if you try to do everything right. And then you are contributing to the larger problem that's going on. Because it's not just something that affects you. What we're going through is like something that collectively affects everybody. I mean, I'm vaccinated. Fully vaccinated, have been since April. I'm fully back to taking precautions again. because I understand that I can still contract the virus. I can still go out and spread it to people. And that's going to contribute potentially, again, the daisy chain effect of my decision can affect other people, potentially risking their life by my decision to gather, and also impact the local facilities, local hospitals in my area, which again, aren't overflowing right now. So it's not as huge of a deal right now. Because the main issue for me right now is in Alabama is literally at the breaking point. I mean, they're screaming for help from FEMA and the National Guard saying, we need bodies, we need help. We cannot take care of these people. People are dying in hallways. Again, that's the situation. It's not the situation where I'm at right now. We're not there yet. We're trending that direction. And I said, when that day comes, then I said, I'll scale way back on where I go. Right now, I still go out and do the things I need to do. I run to the store, run to Best Buy, run in grocery shop, do all those things right now. But again, if we keep going the way we're going, positivity rates are going up to what they are in Alabama right now, where the Hamfest is, I'd pull way, way back. Because again, it's not just about me and my choices. Because in this instance, with a public health crisis, a pandemic, a health issue, my choices can affect other people way downstream of me. That's just the reality. So I have to do my part to try to lessen the load on people like my wife, because I see how it affects those people. I've worked with those people. I've worked hand in hand with the scientists, the virologists, the immunologists at the University of Colorado for almost a decade before I moved to Minnesota. So I understand their perspective because I remember sitting through pandemic simulations with them when I worked with them. And they would always talk about how they can do all these things, but they can't obviously make a population of people, countries, and in this case the entire world, do the things that they know that work. And again, this has become so mucked up and politicized, some of which you've seen in the comments in this very live video, when it's really not. Again, when you really start wading through and looking at the facts of the sound science that drives a lot of decision making, and again, I'm not going to get into the political side because this is not a political issue. This is a health issue. And I'm telling you the facts of the matter of, again, if you're going this weekend, definitely take all your precautions. There's going to be people, statistically, that are COVID-19 positive walking around indoors. So I said, just keep that in mind. That's what would be driving me, my anxiety through the roof if I were to go. And again, some people are going to come out of this and be like, why did I go to this thing? I promise you that. It will happen. And again, going to hang out and see people that I really want to hang out with and see, it's not the right time yet. It's just not. Because I don't want to contribute to what's going on in these hospitals. Because again, I get to see the result of it all the time. Because they're my family. I know them. They're my friends. And the scientists I used to work with, they're my friends. And I know them personally. And I know their struggles and what they're frustrated about. And I know what frustrates my wife. And I know what frustrates her friends that work in the ICU. And I see it. I think this situation we're in now is, like, I think we're to the point now, at this point in this whole situation, like last year it was again, where it got politicized of it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. I think we're way past that now. I think everyone's let that sink in and we're just over that talking point. And again, it is a life and death matter. And yes, your decisions do make a difference to other people. It's just a fact of how a viral pandemic works. Your decisions do not just affect you. It's like if you were going to, let's just take smoking as an example, right? A lot of people go to the Hamfest. Maybe they want to have a cigarette. They go outside, have a cigarette. That's fine. That directly affects your health. You want to shorten your lifespan by doing that, right? That's your choice. As long as you're not doing it inside, secondhand smoke, all that. That's your decision. But that's not what we're going through. It's just not what we're going through at all. Like, that's your decision, affects your health, and if you want to do that, just like chewing tobacco, that's your decision, that's your health choice, and have at it, you know? Like, understand the risk of mouth cancer and go for it, right? But that's your freedom to do so. I I just don't understand how, again, let me review if you're joining in now. And again, keep throwing comments. That how did you not contractually plan for this if you're the Huntsville Hamfest? I don't understand that. And understand that however you structured your agreement, that you may take a small loss. And that could be a risk you take if you're going to try to plan this and hope that it comes out okay and that we're in a good spot when it happens. Number two, ignoring the contractual agreement part and the monies that could be lost, how do you look at people in hallways down at the end of the block at the hospital? How does that person just reconcile in their mind, like, people are dying, our hospitals are full in the ICU, but I'm literally going to invite a high-risk population to the epicenter where this is happening because we want to chat radios and have a hot dog and talk about whatever the forums are going to be this year. It's not worth it. It's just not. Like, we literally can communicate, whether it's like this. Literally, communication from our basement is what we do. Literally what we do. Stop all the BS. That's literally what we do. So saying we have to get together, it's just the most hollow argument I can possibly think of. We all want to get together. Again, I was at an event last weekend, outdoors, where I could socially distance, take all the precautions, and talk to people. And it was great. But again, it wasn't thousands of people. It wasn't indoors. And we certainly don't have the positivity rate in Minnesota that they have in Alabama right now and all the troubles they're having in the hospitals. So that's my rant, guys. And again, and I know some of the comments that have come through are political, which again, this is not a political issue. It's just not. It's a public health issue. And understanding that what we do as individuals affects the greater society around us, including other hams in this case, in some ways, depending on how it actually transpires and how it goes. Like I said, the reason why you can say if you don't want to go, don't go, but if you go, it's not, again, it's not just you. It's not just you. If you go and you take all precautions and you get sick and you end up spreading it, you're contributing to this larger crisis that we're all trying to go through. If everyone had that same turned mindset of, I don't want to contribute, and we had more of an en masse thinking of, I want to try to get this country through this, not only for the health reasons, but the economic reasons, speaking about getting vendors paid and all the things that go into making an event. Getting back on track where we can start trying to figure out how to overcome this, I think we'd be in a lot better place. You know, I said it just blows my mind that we still, I said, haven't figured this out yet. Like I said, I mean, it's not a Jesus take the wheel. This is not. I know what I can do to help the situation, and I'm going to do all those things. That's just the full stop of it. And I said, the difference in that, bringing a high-risk population together, where you could eventually, potentially, there's definitely a risk of killing some of the people that attend. There's no question in my mind about that, just from a statistical perspective. Contributing to hospitals in the Southeast that are, I said, really struggling right now. That if somebody has a heart attack, that because of your choice, if you end up in the hospital or somebody else that you infect, which you would never know, gets in the hospital because I said of that you passing that infection, and then that person that has a heart attack, has a stroke, has a car accident, has a worse outcome. Again, this is literally killing people. Literally. And yes, people are still dying. We've gotten better at treating it. There's no question about that. And not only that, I know people personally that are my age, I won't divulge that, we'll just say it starts with a 3, that are otherwise healthy, no pre-existing conditions, that are in shape, and they contracted it last year, and now they're having long-term health implications. They are unable to walk up a few stairs without stopping for 5 minutes at 30-something years old. So it's not just cold or the flu. Now you have long-term health damage to your lungs. Maybe your kidney function's impacted. Those are the things that, again, the people that come out of the ICU, some of those people are going to have long-term health issues for the rest of their life. So even if you survive, which is great, you could still, I said, be essentially compromised for your health for the rest of your life because you wanted to go check out a Baofeng or shake somebody's hand. And I said, so for me, seeing, again, the complete tone deafness of the Huntsville Hamfest board of this whole issue is completely disappointing. Absolutely, completely, utterly disappointing. And the vendors that said we're not sending our people in there, it doesn't make sense. Kudos to them. DX Engineering, Yaesu, MFJ. They did the right thing. They're like, this is just dumb. We are not going to send our people to do this. And I said, people are going to go, people are going. Some of you on here are going. I get it. I just want you to understand. And I said, for me, I can't contribute to that. I just wouldn't want that on my conscience, knowing that I could do things that would prevent, I said, just the crush of people in the ICU that need healthcare right now, not just COVID, but other stuff. That if I could help in some way make their life better, to improve our healthcare system, to stop it from imploding, I would do that stuff. I would do it. I am doing it. At my own shop, I still get outdoors, I still go on a walk, I still go to my local park. All things that, again, I know are relatively low-risk things, especially being vaccinated. And for the love of God, if you haven't heard it a gazillion times by now, if you're not vaccinated, go do it. I'm not glowing yet, am I? Am I glowing? I can't tell. I have gotten better 5G reception, though. So there is that improvement. So that's my rant. I could go on and on about this and continue this, but that's my basic feeling, is I'm just utterly disappointed in that Hamfest. In terms of, again, the lack of forethought into what would happen if this were to occur, the slow walking, the tone deafness on their communications to this point. Yeah, I just can't believe that. And I said, kudos to the folks up in Ohio, which, by the way, if you didn't know, I don't think people know this a lot, but the guy who chairs and heads up the Hamfest up there in Ohio in the spring, he's actually a physician, and they canceled it. And I was like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. I would have loved to gone. In fact, he may still be on here. Dan, KB0, TDW. We were talking about going to the Hamfest out there in Ohio, in Xenia. But again, it's just the reality of the world we live in right now. It sucks. It's not fun. But people are dying. People are having long-term health conditions from this. And here's the other reality. If you want to talk about science, again, this isn't political. We will all get COVID-19 at some point. It's just going to happen. It's not going to go away. It won't. So we're all going to get it. The goal is to make sure that, just from as you heard in the beginning, that the health system doesn't collapse. People aren't dying from the vaccine. Let's be clear about that. Making sure the health system doesn't implode on itself, that's number one. Number two, beyond that, is making sure that we can get it to and limit the spread to the point where when people do end up getting it, and the ones that do end up getting a serious case, again, have access to those healthcare resources they need. It can't be everybody at one time, which is what Alabama, Texas, and Florida and others in the South are experiencing right now, because, summertime is like the winter time up here. It's not great. So, absolutely, Levi's right. In terms of vaccines, vaccines are not designed to be what they call a sterilizing vaccine. Sterilizing vaccines mean it absolutely prevents you from becoming infected. That's not what the COVID-19 vaccines, any of the three, do. They are designed and engineered to prevent severe disease. That's what they do. So they are, again, you will still get COVID, but when you get COVID and it doesn't develop into what's known as severe disease, meaning like you got to be hospitalized for it, you're actually building that immunity. You're able to take on that infection, you will get it, you'll kick it out, and this will be kind from a pandemic to what's called an endemic, which essentially is what the influenza is, that it is a cycle every single year. So that's what COVID's going to be. But right now it's the race between vaccines. Again, these particular vaccines are designed to prevent severe disease. They're designed to prevent, hopefully in the spread, they weren't specifically designed for that, to hopefully lower viral loads enough to where when you did get infected, you did actually come in contact with the virus, your system never replicated enough to where your viral load was so high that you would become contagious. That was the hope. Problem is, Delta variant changed that. I said viral loads tend to be a lot higher, although shorter in duration, which is kind of a good thing as well. I assure you, there are people who are vaccinated that will end up dying. I will say, I would assume, based on what I know about the data, almost all of those people who are vaccinated and pass away are going to have some kind of underlying health condition that would contribute to their death, just because it puts them at a higher risk. The vast majority of people who are in the hospital right now, confirmed, and you can look it up in Alabama, they're unvaccinated individuals. That's what it is. They are unvaccinated across every state. It's above 90%. Most are 95 to 97%, some even higher. The people in the hospital are unvaccinated because they're not protected from severe disease from the vaccines. So that's my rant. Again, I could sit here and talk about this, but again, I just think it's such a collision to see the state of Alabama, just days before this Hamfest, a week before roughly, coming out and ringing the alarm bell to the federal government to come help, to have the National Guard come in, and everyone online is talking about being excited about seeing the latest Yeezy or whatever it is. It's just complete tone deafness. I don't know what else it is, and it certainly has been in terms of what the Hamfest has communicated. So it's sad, it's unfortunate. That's the struggle that we're having right now, to try to get back to an area where we can do this again, because I'm excited to go to a Hamfest. I want to have a crappy hot dog. No. Antibody-dependent enhancement is not absolutely what's happening at all. If it were actually happening, that viral video is completely wrong. If we saw that, we would see a lot more severe disease in vaccinated individuals, and that's not what the data shows. So, because again, it's all unvaccinated that have severe disease, so it doesn't make any sense. Again, I'm disappointed in Huntsville Hamfest. I probably will never go to it because of this, because I'm just so disappointed in it. And again, I do laud and appreciate the companies that have said we're not doing it, and I look forward to seeing some of you in Ohio and other local Hamfests around the Midwest. Polio vaccine, there's an attenuated live vaccine, different style of vaccine than the mRNA and then what J&J is, but still. Yeah, I said, I'm just so disappointed. I can't believe it. I said, if I was heading up that board, I would have canceled that thing so quick. I said, I don't care what the money is. It doesn't really matter. Or I would have made sure that I planned that, oh, it wasn't going to be all better, because it was never a guarantee. No, vaccines are not spreading the disease. So yeah, I'm just disappointed. Really disappointed. And I am encouraged by those that did the right thing. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear you lost your mom. Like I said, people just don't get it until it smacks them in the face. That's the problem. And yeah, I said, you know, it's an unfortunate reality that a lot of our healthcare people have to deal with right now. And it's so frustrating, I guarantee you, because I see it all the time, because I live with it, that they're just beyond frustrated. That we know the things that work, generally. Do we know everything we should know? No. This has literally just happened a year and a half ago. You know, the studies are coming fast and furious. People sometimes wonder, Why are we keep changing directions and things keep moving? Studies are literally coming out constantly every week. And we're learning new things and putting together a larger, better understanding of how to attack this thing, how the vaccines need to change, how we need to adjust what we do from a protocol standpoint. All those things come into play. So that's why it's changing. I think that's not a frustrating point as I keep going on. That people are like, well, why hasn't the message been consistent the whole time? Why did they say this one thing 4 or 5 months ago and now they're saying this? That's how science works. That's what it does. It's not about picking a position and sticking with it. That's science is what is in front of you based on the evidence, and you shift your perspective and what is right based on the data. It's not flip-flopping. It's evolving with what the understanding is based on the data. That's science. It's not flip-flopping. That's another frustrating part. So I'm going to end it because again, I can go on for 3 hours about this. Just know that that's my rant. Thanks for listening. If you haven't, please get vaccinated for your sake, for your family's sake, for everyone's sake, to be honest. At the very least, do that. And again, as we go through this next major spike, please think about what you're doing in your day-to-day life. Again, I'm not saying to go run and hide in your house. I'm saying get good information from valid sources and figure out, I said, how you can still do the things you want to do, minus the hot dogs and having 2,000 people of high risk come together in an indoor building, Huntsville Hamfest. So please, just think about those things. Thanks for listening to the rant. I appreciate it. And yeah, be safe. And I hope to see you at Ohio next year. That's what I really hope. And yeah, just be safe, guys. Be safe.